we talked about content, and we'll talk about all the DevRel strategies for content in a bit as well. But I want to know about one of the really awesome things that you created, that is React Native Elements. And literally, I've used it in all of my projects till now in some or the other way. So I would love to know your like idea of creating it and how like it kind of resonated with the community. I would love to know that story.
Yeah, so first of all, I want to shout out to all of the contributors and maintainers of React Native Elements. They've done a fantastic job of keeping it going and continuing to maintain it over the last few years. I was only involved with it for the first 2 years or so, maybe 3 years. And then since then, the community has picked it up and they've really done an amazing job. I kind of still, very, very lightly involved, but still, keeping an eye on it and all that. But yeah, it's been really cool. It was kind of the first successful open source project that I'd ever created. And it was kind of like the perfect storm early on for me to do something in open source that just worked out really well. React Native was still very early. There were not any UI libraries out there that I can remember. Maybe there was, but to the best of my knowledge, there wasn't. So at the time in React land, we didn't have Tailwind yet, but we did have something like Material UI. I think was around. We had Bootstrap. We had a few things out there. Chakra wasn't around at the time. So React had a few things. And React Native was released in 2015. So, it's been 6 years now, but at the time it was still fairly early on. And I happened to be on a team that adopted React Native very early. And I think I shipped one of the very first React Native apps to the store in the long run. Like if we're looking back, when I say one of the first, probably one of the first 100 or so, maybe. Apps to the App Store with React Native. So I was very early on in that React Native ecosystem. And in the company, we were building a few different apps with React Native. So we shipped that first app and we were planning on a few. And when you're writing code, you start noticing patterns. And for me, one of the patterns was UI elements that were continuing to be rewritten over and over and over. And in this project, I would have these components, and then I would essentially be writing those exact same components across 2 or 3 others. So I was like, oh, you know what if we could just npm install these and we'll create like a private package for our team. And I was like, oh wait, why would we even make it private? These are actually very, very design agnostic basic elements. Yeah, exactly. Basic stuff and I was like, we could basically open source this, and we could also make it to be customizable. Like the idea behind React Native Elements is that they're just UI elements, but you open the escape hatch of the entire API of React Native to each element. So you kind of apply some very light, styling and design ideas. So if someone does want to get up and running really quickly, they can write one line of code, but then you open up with props all of the different, configurations. So if I want to change a border or a color or anything, you kind of open the entire escape hatch. And to me, that's really important when you're kind of creating one of these. You want to make some of your own decisions, but you want to give the entire flexibility to the developer. So yeah, I decided. So literally probably spent 2 or 3 days writing React Native Elements and documenting it and taking a couple of screenshots and trying to, I built like an example app with it and tried to take some really nice design screenshots and stuff and put it up on GitHub and tweeted about it, and it did really well. I mean, within the first couple of hours, we had a few thousand stars, and to me, that was just way beyond the number of people I thought were going to be interested in it. I had no idea because I'd never released anything open source. I was also suffering majorly from imposter syndrome. Like I kind of was really scared to put my code out there, honestly, in this way. Right. Like I had written blog posts and stuff, but to actually give code to a person and have them use it in their own app, it's kind of a different thing if you've never done it before. So the imposter syndrome was really, really heavy, and I almost wasn't sure if I should even release this thing. But that was another like experience. So when you start putting yourself out there, I think you start having all of these, worst case scenarios in your head actually turn out like not so bad, and makes you more confident in the future and doing other stuff. Right. And yeah, so now React Native Elements is used all over the place. We use it at Amazon when I was there. It has 20,000 I think maybe stars now.
Right, exactly. And I totally resonate with that point again. Like whenever you are publishing out there something open source that you might be publishing as a library or an npm package or anything like that, it creates a lot of different things running around your head. Like that's the first time when I created something, I was like, this is too basic. Like people will be like, you, why are you creating something that's already there?
Yeah.
It's like that, right? So I totally understand that.